Just give me that first trip into the Howard Stern show.
It was unbelievable. I remember it was July 18, 2001. I still remember that date like it's someone's birthday or a death date. They were only on 3 days a week, and they got A-listers coming in now. They never used to get Lady Gaga and Madonna and Bradley Cooper and stuff like that. They had dirtbags like us. You go, lady. I got mail. I know, because you can still do the voice. I go, yeah, it's a piece. Yeah, it's not. I didn't have to do anything different.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Here's the Pitch, sponsored by Masses Restaurants in St. Louis, 5 locations. STLmasses.com is their website. You can find out all their specials there. They've got, they got pasta, they got pizza. They're the title sponsor. You know about them. And I know my next guest must enjoy a good Italian pizza or a meatball sub. Jim Florentine. I believe you're Italian, right?
Yeah, Italian and Irish.
I know that we talked about Howard Stern a little bit last time, and I'm always interested just how that relationship went with you when you got there. What was it like the first time you got called in there? I don't feel like you get real worked up for what I can tell, but it had to be kind of cool. How did that happen? Does Gary call you? Just give me that first trip into the Howard Stern show, because that does, when a stand-up comedian walks in there, they can walk out and then start selling out shows for 6 months, a year, 5 years.
It was unbelievable. I remember it was July 18, 2001. I still remember that date like it's someone's birthday or a death date. No, I was always a big fan. Like, I worked construction. I was a landscaper. So I'd always, especially I lived in New Jersey, so he was big in New York. So that's all I did was listen to Howard Stern constantly. So I was a huge fan of the show. I started doing comedy, and I put out these prank call CDs. And I mailed it into the show, and they started playing it on the air. And, they're like, we got to have this guy in. He's really funny. And then they go, okay, you're booked. You got to sit in for a whole day on this day in July. And, if you know the show, you know when they, jump in and jump out. I'm like, all right, great. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I remember being in the green room like 10 to 6. The show starts at 6 a.m. And I'm just standing there. And I see Howard walk by. I see Robin. I see Fred. I see everybody. I'm like, I can't believe I'm here. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I've been fans of these people forever. I go, all right, I can't mess it up. I go, I got one shot. I go, so just pretend like they're just your friends. I go, you know the show, so just bust balls. That's the show. I remember like the first 3 minutes, Howard's like, hey, nice to meet you, whatever. Jim's going to sit in the show. And he's right in there telling a story about him and Beth, his wife, on the beach. And they found like a bird or something like that, and they saved the bird, and he had a tear in his eye. And I go, Howard, I go, you should really check your pants for penis. And he just, I knew it to throw it out, and he just lost it. And I was like, God, I got my first laugh. That was like 5 minutes into the show.
So this is, obviously, Jackie had just left, and this is that point where they were sort of auditioning for that chair. Were you auditioning, or were you just sitting in? Because we know Artie gets it at the end of the year, but I know Craig Gass was in there, Ron Zimmerman, Fitzsimmons, I believe. They just kind of brought in a bunch of guys. I don't know if they were, did you feel like you were auditioning, or was it just, hey, just sit in? And how did they explain it to you?
No, it wasn't an audition. They just said, look, we're going to have different guys, a rotating guest to sit in. We're going to rotate you guys. We're going to pick like 8 or 10 guys. And I'm like, okay, so we didn't even know it was an audition, but I guess at some point they go, hey, we like Artie's the best for this job, so let's hire him, which is fine. I mean, he was great for the job. I mean, I wasn't jealous or anything like when he got the job. Like, okay, that's fine. I was still going on the show all the time, so it didn't really make a difference.
He was so good on there, especially early on. I just remember he would have things that he would say that Howard didn't even catch, but they were so funny to me, and it added. There's always that little arc of the show, and I started listening way back in the early 90s, so it was Jackie and that group with Billy West, and then it changed over to basically Artie, Stuttering John, and KC, and I felt like, I don't know, for some reason I felt like that was the prime. I know that a lot of older fans be like, oh no, the Jackie years. I guess there's these people that kind of compare and contrast. Do you have a favorite era of those shows?
I like the Jackie shows, Jackie, Billy West. I listen to those on YouTube. It's unbelievable, the things they were saying and what they were getting away with. And I liked how they danced around the dirty language, the cursing and stuff like that, and made up words and danced around it, and how it was just out of control then. The Artie years were great. They were different. Artie was more of like a sidekick. Yeah. Talking, Jackie wasn't, but those years were great too with the art. But, Howard was also going through a lot with the FCC at the time. When I went on the show, 2001, he left for Sirius 2006. The FCC was on his case. Remember the Janet Jackson thing? And then his Clear Channel took him off like 10 stations because he wouldn't listen to their new rules and all that stuff. So he was going through a lot of crap where he was handcuffed. So when he got to Sirius, he just let loose again too. But look, all those years were great. But I like the Jackie years better for some reason. I watch the old Channel 9 shows on YouTube, which are great.
You're just making me think about it though, and all you'd have to hear was even Fred just playing a hee hee, and that would make me laugh for just on something stupid.
Jackie's laugh after all those terrible stories and stuff. And then whenever they would attack, I mean, Howard was so vicious when he would attack Gary or Jackie or Fred during those fights, or Stuttering John in the 90s. It was brutal. I love listening to that. It's just a beatdown.
Yeah, it was almost painful, but still glad that you weren't being part of it.
I used to tell Gary to, talk after me. I will. So degrading.
Yeah, Gary's been there forever, just taking it. I guess it's made, built him a few houses, and that I love when he had the seating thing built in his house, and they just made fun of that for weeks.
Oh yeah, with the stools. Why would you sit on the stool?
Yeah, right. He had to sit in the back where all the other people came in the comfy chairs.
Yeah, it's like who wants to sit in a stool to watch the Super Bowl? It's stupid.
Would you get nervous though, kind of going in there, knowing that hey, a lot of people are going to be listening? This is going to be. I mean, would it, or did you just sort of wing it and kind of knew you were funny, you knew what you were doing?
Because you knew. I mean, it was like at his prime, it was like I don't know. They said 15 to 20 million people listening. Even in the early 2000s. So it was like it was huge, and it's just the response you got. And then you'd always hear back. You tell a story, and then you'd hear from everybody from your past. Like you couldn't believe how many people listen to that show. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's just funny listening, think about those other memories of just stuff we were talking about. And it's weird. I know, as Gary, that they've evolved. Thoughts on just kind of how it's going, because I don't think they don't really bring in comedians anymore, right? You haven't been in a long time, and has it been?
No, they do more like they're only on 3 days a week, and they they got A-listers coming in now. They never used to get Lady Gaga, and Madonna, and Bradley Cooper and stuff like that. They had dirtbags like us. So the show's changed. It's fine. I still do the wrap-up show like twice a year. We're all friends. I still talk to all those guys. I see, because I work at Sirius. I work on the Hard Rock Channel, Ozzy's Boneyard. I do a show over there. So I'm always up there doing different shows. So it's all good. Hey, man, the way I look at Howard is like he discovers you, he launches you, and then you're on your own. He gives you that moment. Hey, make it work. Well, I give you all this exposure, and then I'm going to move on from you, and I'm going to bring other people in. That's the way I always looked at it. So I've never had any regrets or be mad at him that I don't go on the show anymore. I'm like, the guy gave me a huge break. I'll always be grateful.
Yeah, and like I said, I named those guys off, Craig Gass and Greg Fitzsimmons. I didn't really know those guys at that point. Of course, you guys have all done different things since, but you're right. I mean, you go on there twice, and people are going to know who you are. So,
that was awesome.
Yeah, no, those were fun years. I don't know if you talked to Artie. I was just curious if you've heard from him, or how's he doing?
Nobody knows. He's MIA, and who knows? They'll pop up and they'll start doing 19 different podcasts.
All right. So what's on that? Was that a Star Wars Cup? I'm sorry, I always get a little
no, wrestling. My kid's into wrestling.
Oh, the SmackDown. Okay, I see. Yeah,
no Star Wars for me. I've never seen 1 second of that.
So how do you still get like residuals for terrorizing telemarketers? I mean, do people still remember that? I mean, that was a long time ago, and it was a different time. I mean, now you have caller ID and YouTube. Back then it was, I mean, as a kid, I would do that, but I never really thought of, let's record them and put them on CD. Do you still see some money for that? And do people still remember way back in that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, because now, I mean, they're still on Sirius. They get played a lot, the prank calls. People rediscovered them now through YouTube. For a while, no one was even talking about it. About 5 years ago, they really kicked in again. A whole younger generation started listening to calls on YouTube or on satellite radio on the comedy channels. So, yeah, people still go crazy over them. Yeah. My kid was just listening. He's 10. He's like, Dad, play me this one. I never heard. I want to hear them all. Like, he's obsessed with them now.
I forgot too. You did weird things like Upper Deckers, but I think the best one. Is that weird? Well, maybe, I don't know. It depends on who you are. But I guess the one now that I'm thinking, this is just me remembering, the guy who comes over with the salad, and you just keep telling, "No, I'll take more pepper." Was that you?
That was pepper on my chicken for 35 straight minutes.
And he didn't stop.
He didn't stop. We had a hidden camera, so he didn't know. I'm like, no, keep going. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you when to stop. And I just made him go for 35 minutes. He's switching arms. His arm got tired. They brought another guy in because his arm was tired, a relief pepper guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We did like a hidden camera pranks. We did a series for Comedy Central. It was on their broadband channel and the internet channel. And then we had a pilot to do it on the regular channel. It didn't get picked up. They said it was too mean because we were pretty vicious. But we just like mess around. We did shit like that. And we took an upper deck where you shit in the top of the toilet tank.
Wait, is that the most memorable prank? Because that's the one I remember. I guess it would.
I think the pepper one is probably the most memorable one. Yeah, we took upper deckers too.
Is there? I mean, does your kid ask to hear special ed? I mean, obviously that was.
Oh yeah, he's totally upset. There's some show on YouTube all these kids watch where these teenagers with these like Mario puppets, those Mario stuffed animals, and they say dirty shit. And there's one that looks just like special ed. They have like and he's like, and I go, special ed did that years ago, but now he's all into the special ed calls. He's obsessed with them.
Can I get 10 seconds of special ed just for my own?
Anyway, it worthless. Like he can't understand why, Crank Actors is back on the air after 12 years. So he's like, hopefully special ed way back. We're hoping. We don't know.
Well, I mean, right here.
Hey, you go, lady. I got mail. I know. He goes, you can still do the voice. I go, yeah, it's a piece. Yeah, it's not. I didn't have to do anything different.
Do you find out guys that do voice work? I feel like I could do voice work and make money. Is that a real? I think, or is that a talent? I know you just did it. And it was great. But is that something? Is that a real talent, or is that something most people could do, and you just have to be in the right lane to get that kind of work?
I really can't do any voices except for that. I just always did that as a kid. Like if a team scored a touchdown, I'd like an ass. Yay, touchdown. Just jump up and down like an idiot. But I don't do any voices. Like I would never be good for, I always said I was never be good for Saturday Night Live. I don't do any characters or voices, So, no, that's a special talent. Like a guy like Craig Dash you brought up before. Guy's phenomenal with voices.
That's true. I love Fred's impression of you. Like he had it down. Oh, I got to go. I tried doing it. Yeah, I can't do it.
We were watching YouTube the other night. There was a clip of me when I was on the show, and Fred was doing me. And he's like, he doesn't sound like you at all. And I'm like, no, he does. He goes, no, that doesn't sound like you. But at the time, I don't know. I mean, I thought it did. And people always thought that, when they would see me do live, like if I come to the Funny Bone in St. Louis, they couldn't believe that I wasn't that dirty because everything Fred said was so dirty.
That's right.
And when I did my stand-up's not that dirty. And people are like, I thought you'd be a raunchier. I didn't bring my wife because she was going to be disgusted. I go, no. I go, that's just Fred, what he makes up.
You think, was Fred writing that himself on the fly? Was Benji passing?
Yeah, he was just making it up off the top of his head, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I love
an honor. Just that Fred would do your voice. I was like, I can't believe. I mean, he's only, he does maybe 20 voices in his whole career. I'm like, he did me. I was honored.
Yeah, I guess maybe I should take that back to do it well and have a character. I just listened to a Howie Mandel podcast that he did, and he started doing, was a Bobby's World, and I forgot that he did Gizmo, and he was just talking about how he did it, and he could pull it off right like that, and it was Gizmo, and I guess I'm like, okay, that is a talent, but I'm always thinking, because Justin Long started doing it too, and he sounded just like him. I'm like, maybe everyone could, but to do it well and over is probably the talent. Like Fred. A year later, you asked Robin out. Do you have any fun Robin stories?
No, it was good, at that time. It was 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
Which seems like, but no, it was fun. I mean, I was a big fan of the show and, I asked her out and we dated for a little while. It didn't work out, but no, I mean, she was cool. Look, I always thought about this. I said, she hangs with those boys in that boys club every day. Howard and Gary and all those guys, and Fred, and when Jackie was there and Artie and all that stuff. So she can hang with the boys. So she's almost like one of the boys, which was great.
I feel like it doesn't seem like that's for how she'd be off the show, though. I feel like she'd be more into champagne and caviar.
What's that?
I felt like on the show she played that sort of a character, but off the show I felt like she'd be more like champagne and caviar, not into upper deckers. Maybe she is. Who knows?
Well, yeah, she probably done. No, not really. No, she was pretty much down to earth. I mean, we just hung. I took her to see Van Halen, I remember, and Stone Temple Pilots. Had a good time and stuff like that. So no, I mean, she nicer stuff, whatever. But no, she was totally cool with that.
How's your relationship with Howard these days? You still kind of get on there? Or
Yeah, good. I mean, I just did the wrap-up show a few weeks ago, promote my book and everything. And, no, it's, I still see those guys. I work up at Sirius, too, and I see them around. I'm friends with all those guys at the show. So it's all good.
Yeah, and Artie Lange, you toured with him. I don't know if you talked to him a lot. I know a lot of fans. It's really weird. I actually just talked to Stuttering John, and then friends of mine are like, oh, because I don't listen to Howard as much as I used to. I felt like the day Artie left, it was like, oh man, that's kind of the end of the show to me, and I haven't listened. But with Stuttering John, it really felt like an end of an era, because then they bring in Richard and Sal, and it was just different. But a lot of my friends were like, oh no, you got to go back and listen. And I used to love Artie too. But how are you talking to Artie at all, and how's he doing? I
see him once in a while. He's doing a podcast now, and it's really funny. He's doing good. I see him out in the clubs in New York City. He's hanging in there.
You guys
yeah.
had,
so he's still around. He's kicking.
Any good road stories from those days when you guys toured? Because you guys got to. Well, I know he played Carnegie Hall, and you start finding these big areas, these big stages, these big rooms. You're not playing the Funny Bone anymore. Now you're playing 3,000 seat. Do you have any fun? I just remember already talking about having a sandwich thrown at him, or any fun memories that you have of those tours and those times?
Oh yeah, I mean those tours were amazing. I remember it's funny because it just happened at the Funny Bone in St. Louis. So Artie was playing there before he got really big and started playing theaters, right? So Artie's doing 7 shows over the weekend. They're all selling out. So Artie's up on stage doing a show at the Funny Bone in St. Louis, and the waitress comes up to the table and she has 10 shots of Jägermeister on a tray, and Artie just stops at 7. He goes, okay. He goes, which one's mine? She goes, they all are. And he goes, what do you mean they all are? She goes, someone bought them for you. And Artie goes, I can't do all 10 of these shots. And the whole crowd just starts booing him and starts to chant for him to do it. So he drinks all 10 down, one at a time, 10 in a row, right down. And then he finishes the set somehow. Now I'm there 2 weeks later, and I'm drawing a lot of a certain crowd too. And they send 10 shots up to the stage. I go, what is this? This is for you. I go, I don't drink when I'm on stage. They go, no, Artie. And they're like, Artie was here 2 weeks ago. We did all 10 shots. Come on, man. They started chanting. And I just said, hey, look, I'm telling you right now, I'm not Artie Lange. I go, I'll do one shot and that's it. I'll drink afterwards. I don't drink during my show. And they were booing and stuff. I go, I don't give a shit. I was giving the crowd the finger. I go, you can boo me all you want. I'll do one of these and that's it. I'm not doing 10. So I wound up just doing the one. But I had to shut that down, and then I told the waitress, I go, look, if that happens again, just put iced tea or something, fake, make that it's not a real shot, and I'll just do all 10, so I don't have to deal with that abuse.
Those are my people, Jim. Sorry.
That's what I love about St. Louis.
So I have you for a couple more minutes. What I like to do at the end of these, I open baseball cards. I have a fan here, right? Let's look at some baseball cards. I got a pack of 1990 Fleer. That's we'll just look at them in 1990.
Oh, nice.
Oh, sorry, 91.
All right. We got a good Jack Clark in there.
All right, we're going to start with
Is there any gum in there?
No gum. These are.
Gum.
We got. I'm going to show it to the folks at home first. Francisco Cabrera.
He was good.
He had the big hit for the Braves in '92, but not a great card. All right, classic '80s player here. Had some issues. I love Doc Gooden though.
Guy was phenomenal. I got to respect the guy that's too hungover to go to his parade the next day. Doesn't get out of bed.
Well, they're going to do a thing on the 86 Mets. So I'm a Cardinal fan, and somehow the 86 Mets are one of my all-time favorite teams. I'm supposed to hate the Mets. As a kid, they just beat the shit out of everyone. I mean, and they didn't care, and they did curtain calls. They did all this stuff, and they were all on coke, which is even better.
They were a bunch of dicks, Dykstra, Hernandez. They're just a bunch of jerks. I know.
This guy is a former Cardinal, and I consider him a great. We got Tony Pena here.
Now he was solid. He was good. He was a great catcher, man. He could throw from his knees and throw people out.
And he had flair, he sat down with the leg down, but that wasn't even for. Right. What's crazy about that, and I remember announcers always saying, maybe that's going to be hard for him to throw. What I heard later is he was doing that to get a low enough target for his pitchers. He wanted to be low, and he said the way I get down low is to get down there. It wasn't a Flair thing. So I love Tony Pena.
I thought maybe one of his balls was stuck to his leg and he was stretching it out. So
Bob Milacki does nothing for me. I remember him as an O's.
Milacki, didn't he pitch for? I think he pitched for the Mets a little while too. I remember him, Milacki.
I don't know. Well, I remember him that year. Not great. Terry Kennedy. We had this guy just on the last time we had this exact same card. Terry Kennedy, former Cardinal. He was a Giant though. Here, I was hoping to find you some '89 Giants. You know, like Kevin Mitchell. But he was on that '89 team. Backup catcher.
Okay, yeah. I don't remember him too much. I know the name, but I don't remember him being on the Giants.
I'm going to skip through this one. Bill Kruger, just a pitcher guy. This is what happened. You get some bad cards. Did you open baseball cards as a kid? You do this?
Yeah, my kid's all into him. He's 10, so he's into the baseball. We get some old one football and stuff like that. So it's always great opening cards.
Someone said this guy's name just this week on a radio show I was listening to, and they mentioned how great he was in center field, and I forgot. And then I remembered Devon White was the most
the Royals, right?
Yeah, underrated, and he's at this point in the Angels. He played for the Blue Jays too, but this guy he covered a lot of ground and was underrated back then. Devo.
Was he on the Royals too, or no?
Maybe late.
Okay.
I don't know.
The Blue Jays, yeah. Blue Jays, Angels, yeah.
Got a Royal here for you, Mike McFarland. Yeah.
McFarland.
Yeah. We're not really good here. Edwin Nunez. Pass. All right, this guy had a great. I don't know if he's got it here. Oh, he's shaved it. I remember this guy pitching for the White Sox. His name is Barry Jones. He used to have a great Fu Manchu, but he had shaved it.
I don't remember Barry Jones.
Yeah, he shaved it by now. He had a really good Fu Manchu. This is a bad pack here. Mickey Morandini.
Oh yeah, he was good.
He was a Philly,
Phillies loved him. He was a scrappy player.
Okay, here's a good one.
Isn't this ridiculous that we know all this stuff, like this knowledge? Why? From 1990, where, that guy, he put his leg out like that. Like, we don't know most things that we should know, we don't know. But we know about Mickey Morandini and Pena putting his leg out, stretching it.
As a 12-year-old, this is a God-honest truth. There was less teams, but if I was at the ball game and I saw that it said 26 KC versus 54 New York Yankees, I knew that Steve Farr was pitching for the Kansas City Royals and Brian Fisher was pitching for the Yankees. I knew every number of every pitcher in Major League Baseball. Wow. That's the only thing I ever learned at 12 years old. Right, it seems bad. This guy I did get to interview. You can check it out on my YouTube channel. In 1996, he was the MVP, and then he passed away. I can't remember if it was a suicide or something bad, but he passed away young.
Yeah, I think he overdosed.
And he was
remember he got caught. He came out and he said he did steroids when he won. Was the MVP? He won later in his career, and he said he was all up on steroids the whole time. He was one of those guys that exposed all those guys.
Yeah, and I don't sit here promote my interview, but I was a kid when I interviewed him, and he was just so mellow. He had a cup of coffee, and I remember thinking, this is the most mellow, chill guy I've ever met in baseball. They're mostly strung, high strung. He was an interesting guy. I only got 2 cards left. I'll only show Ed Whitson as my last one. I love the Padre uniform.
Ed Whitson, yeah.
He was a Yankee.
He went to the Yankees and bombed.
Yeah.
He got a big contract with the Yankees. He couldn't handle the pressure in New York, and they booed him out.
So that's what happens when you open.
It was all over him.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's what happens when you open baseball cards. Though sometimes you get a good pack. What did we have? We had Ken Caminiti. We had a few, but nothing. We're not going to be making a lot of money off that pack, so I'll have to keep opening these up, I guess.
What happened with the whole baseball cards because they used to be worth a ton, and then all of a sudden they just dropped and they weren't worth any money? I forgot what happened with how that happened. So, through 1980, there was only one company, Topps. Then there was 3, Donruss and Fleer. And then by 1988, 89, that was like a huge. This is when I was a kid too. Like the baseball card, it just became. Hey, Upper Deck's making baseball cards. Now Topps is making their own. So they oversaturated. And then there's, everyone. And then they made a ton of them. So they weren't as rare. Like that Mickey Mantle 1950. There's like a 1951 Mickey Mantle, I think, is like worth $1 million. And there's probably only 30 of them out there. They only printed that many. So that's what happened. Okay, because my friend used to collect and he said they're worth all this. And then one day he's like, they're worth shit now. So I wasn't sure what happened. But I remember I sold my base. I had a girlfriend. I moved down to Florida. I'm 16 years old. I got a girlfriend, and I wanted to see her so bad. I sold my whole baseball card collection to get a flight back from Florida to New Jersey to see her. And it was some guy in a van that I met like an alley. I forget how we met that he wanted to buy my cards. My cards were probably worth $10,000. I sold them for $350. I had, Willie Mays. I had McCovey's, early 70s. Wow. All these cards from the 60s. My dad had these cards, and I sold them just to go meet this girl.
How was it?
From some shady guy in a van.
Was it worth it?
No, because she broke up. No, it wasn't. Because the day I got up there, I couldn't see it till the next day, right? I couldn't see it the night I came in, so I went to a party with my friends. He took me to this party, and it was like this spin the bottle party broke out. And I was making out with this girl, and she left a big hickey on my neck. And my girlfriend saw it the next day, and that was it.
Spin the bottle parties. Now, are the kids doing that these days? I don't know. I don't talk to many kids, but you have one. Are they?
I don't think so. They probably get right to it. We at least, got to work for it.
Yeah, they're doing it over the phone. There's all this technology. Well, Jim, I had fun with this again. I appreciate you spending some time with me. Is there anything that we missed? You get the book out there. People can get that. We can hear you on Barstool Sports. The podcast is very funny. Twice a week. Anything else you wanted to tell people about? And hopefully we'll get you back in St. Louis. Anything else that we need to talk about?
My kid, like I said, my kids in the wrestling, and they never stop. Since the pandemic, they still have the wrestling every Monday and Friday and stuff, and they did start doing no fans. And at first, you're like, that's kind of weird, but you get used to it. Now it's fine. So,
do you get a chance to meet Vince McMahon, being a big celebrity like yourself? Do you get to take him out and meet Roman?
I never met Vince. I would like to meet Vince. I know Chris Jericho because he has a whole heavy metal connection or whatever. So, but no, I don't really know that. I was never really into the wrestling after, once I found that it was fake when I was 14, I was devastated. Meanwhile, it took me to 14 that I finally figured out it was fake. Then I didn't watch for a while. I was mad at wrestling.
I'm a fan. I've been a fan all my life. I do love how annoyed wrestlers get when you call it fake. I mean, it's clearly not fake. It's staged. It's scripted. But these guys are definitely, yes, jumping off the top rope. And when a chair hits them in the back, they're getting hit by the chair. Now, they have techniques to make sure it doesn't hurt as bad, but they're still getting hit. Like when Ric Flair does one of those chops, that you see the welt on the person's chest. That's not, but I do enjoy when somebody will, like Bill Maher, I remember, politically incorrect, and he had Roddy Piper on, and Piper looked like he was going to deck him because, Bill Maher has got that smart assy. It's fake. Roddy got up.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a wrestler, I wouldn't want people saying my profession is fake either. I like that new wrestling league at AEW.
Yeah,
I'm digging that.
Well, and you got, it's not Vince McMahonized, and you got Jericho kind of leading it, and you got Jim Ross, like kind of these life wrestling guys. It does bring like fresh air to it. It is interesting to see. It's good to have competition. I don't know if you remember back when there was the big Monday Night War, you would flip back and forth to say, okay, what's Hulk doing? All right, what's The Rock doing? All right, let's move over here and see what. So I feel like it needs it because it's very stale with only one company having all the talent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the AEW, like right off the bat, they're, as soon as they go on the air, they're fighting. With, I noticed with the WWE, it's 20 minutes of somebody talking in a ring, then go to commercial, another 7 minutes of another guy talking. I'm like, just get to some action.
Who's your son's favorite pro grappler these days?
Randy Orton.
St. Louis's own, from Hazelwood, yes.
Is he from St. Louis?
Yeah, he went to Hazelwood High School here in St. Louis. Yeah, I think he still lives here. I think maybe in part-time, but I know he's always kind of around.
Yeah, I trained him like the bad guys. He's a great bad guy, Randy Orton. It's great.
He can't be a good guy. He's just has the...
No way. He doesn't have the charisma for a good guy.
Yeah, when he does it doesn't work. I mean, even, like Stone Cold was a bad guy who people loved and became, a good guy, still trying to do bad guy things. But Randy Orton it doesn't work. I agree. I enjoy his work, I have to say.
Yeah, Orton's great. I like him too. So,
all right. Well, I thank Jim Florentine for joining me on Here's the Pitch. And again, Masses Restaurants in St. Louis, 5 locations. STLmasses.com is their website. That's going to do it for this one. I, again, thank Jim Florentine for joining me, and we'll talk to you next time.